Hello, this is Chris Duncan at Find Your Focus Photographic Education, and today we're going to talk about finishing techniques for some of your high key images. Just give them a nice, clean, contemporary look. Before you get started on this, you'll want to do any of your skin retouching, hair removal, reshaping, liquefy, anything like that. I've already done that, remove some stray hairs and stuff. And I recommend you do that before you do any type of finishing technique. So all that retouching has been done. Okay, you can also check out how I lit this portrait on my blog at findyourfocus.org/blog. I lit this with 3 umbrellas, and my umbrella is the Forgotten Modifier series. Just search under the categories umbrella, and you will find this post along with some others that I've lit entirely with umbrellas. But back to the matter at hand, and that is finishing this out. First thing I'm going to do is give her skin a nice glow, a little bit of contrast. I'm going to do that with the red channel. So I want to start by duplicating my background layer so I can always go back to the original if I need to do that. I'm going to hit Command A to select my canvas. Now I have marching ants. We'll zoom in. I have the marching ants around my canvas. That's a little close. I'm sorry. Okay, now I go to my channels palette and just click the red channel. This will turn your image black and white, and that's completely okay. That's what it's supposed to do. It's just selecting that red channel. Now, I'm going to copy this. Command C. Now you cannot copy if you have not selected your canvas first. So make sure you do Command A on your layers palette. Select your red channel. Command C to copy. Go back to your layers palette. Hit the icon for a new layer. Puts a new blank layer on your document. And then Command V to paste that red channel there. And then I want to blend this at soft light. You can see it gives her skin this nice glow. Adds a little bit of contrast and dimensionality to it. I really like the black it added into her shoes. That may be a little much contrast for me, so I'm going to bring that down to about 75–60%, somewhere in there. And put a layer mask on it, and I think I want to brush out a little bit of it around her seat right here. It just took made that a little too contrasting. I want to make sure you can define her edge there along that background. And I'm going to brush it out just slightly here on her face. I got a little deep for my liking. Okay, so you can see that already made a nice look by putting that red channel in there. Now I want to do something just on her skin. I want to brighten up her skin a little bit where it's not quite as warm. And we're going to do that with the channels palette again. So I'll go back to channels. This time I'm just selecting the red layer. When you click on it, hold the command button down, and it will load a selection of just the red channel. Now this selection doesn't get all of her skin, it gets most of it, and that's okay. I could refine the edge, but I want to see how this works first. A lot of times this works great because I only want to affect those serious red channels in there, not the other ones, and it usually works pretty well. So with that selected, I go back to my layers palette, and I'm going to add a solid color. Now I want to make sure my solid color stays in the grayscale. I don't want to tone this image, I just want to brighten it. So make sure you're all the way to the left side of your little color box here. And a good way to tell if you're in grayscale is your red, green, and blues will all have the same number. You know, from 000 to 255, 255. I like it to be around 170 or so. Okay, I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to blend this at a soft light blend mode as well. And you can see I've just brightened up her skin ever so slightly. I can go back to my color and I can see what it looks like if I take it up to pure white, if I bring it down to a dark gray, if I wanted to make it red. You get the idea. So I was pretty happy where it's maybe a little brighter. So I'll take that up to about 175. Okay, and I'll toggle that and you can see how it's just really affecting her skin. So I'm really happy with that. Okay. So we're almost done with this. This is just a real quick, simple, easy way I like to do to get that skin nice, that clean, contemporary look on these portraits. I want to paint in a little bit of highlight and shadow, and I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to merge all these layers and stamp it into a new layer, and that is Shift, Option, Command, E. This is not under your menu. It's just a trick you need to remember. It's called Stamp Visible. Option, Shift, Command, E, or of course if you're on a PC that's Control every time I say Command. And I'm going to create a new snapshot of this layer, and I want to select that snapshot with my art history brush. So now I have to get my art history brush, and I can start dodging and burning, if you will. I'm going to use screen mode for my highlights, using a small brush. I really just want to paint in some contrast on her face and her hair. So I'm going to hit these highlights, and I'm about a 20% opacity. Just going to hit some of these highlights just real briefly in her hair. Okay, just give it a little bit of contrast. Put some light there. She's got beautiful hair with some already nice texture and detail in it. I'm just going to accentuate what's already there. And my brushwork's getting a little sloppy. Being on this, I'm not worried about going into the background since I'm on screen mode. Now, if I wasn't on high key, that my brushing would have to be much more precise. I'm going to brighten their eyes, pupils. I like to hit over the eyebrow, real subtle in between the eyebrow and the eye. I'll explain that in a second. Don't forget this there in the lips. Hit the lips and the teeth, brighten those. I'm going to get a little bit of bigger brush, a little softer. And now I just want to paint on her cheeks and her forehead here along the bridge of her nose. Could maybe paint along her neck right in here. I don't think I need to do much to her legs or her shoulders and her arms, but really just I want you to draw into the contrast on her face. Okay, so now I'm going to select to the multiply blend mode, still using my art history brush on that snapshot I created. And let's make that brush a little smaller. And I'm going to start painting in or burning these shadow areas. And if you'll paint these right next to where you did your highlights, you're going to create some nice contrasts. Because that highlight next to that shadow is what gives us that good contrast. Make her hair just shine and bring some attention to her face, because that's where we want you to go in this portrait. The environment should just support her. So I'm going to hit the bottom of these lips nice and soft, the corners. I like to go around this shadow side of the nose a little bit, put a little more dimension there, and hit these eyelashes and eyebrows. It really sets her eyes off. Since I painted those highlights around her eyelashes and eyebrows, when I come back with that burn tool, it really draws your eye in there. Okay, so let's toggle this layer on and off. You can just see how we've created some of that contrast in her face. Now there's some other techniques you can do, maybe some sharpening if you want to do that. I think the key is to make sure you're holding all your detail here along the edge, and I am. There's a nice line. I could just even burn that down if I needed to burn that down, still using that multiply tool. I want to keep that line. It's still there. I hope it shows through in this video that you can still see that line there. And really we've got a nice clean contrast image. Let's go. I'm going to create a new snapshot so you can see where we started. From there, did our red channels, and then we did our highlight and shadow painting with that art history brush. Okay, and now the last thing I do is I'm going to add a photo filter on this, and I like to use the blue, the deep blue, at about 4 to 5%. Just takes a little bit of that pinkness out of her skin and gives it a nice clean look. So, once again, this is Chris Duncan at Find Your Focus Photographic Education. I hope this tutorial helps you next time you photograph a high key and you want that nice, clean, kind of editorial magazine look. Remember these techniques, and appreciate you watching, and happy creating.